Summarizing an article is easy if you know how to do it. Now, it happens to be a simple 5-step process, and let's get right to it. Step 1, identify your summary goal. Why is this so important? This is important because you need to know where you're going before you set out on your journey. Here are questions to ask yourself. How many words or paragraphs should the summary contain? Can or should I use quotations? Do I have any other specific requirements from my instructor? Very important. Now, here are two examples of different requirements, and you'll see what I mean. Let's say that the article is 3 magazine pages long and you must summarize it in a 3-paragraph essay. Okay, now that would be one long summary. A 3-paragraph summary is a big summary. Now, another scenario is where the article is only about 600 words long and you should summarize it in 150 to 200 words. Now, this would be a much shorter summary, and therefore you would be setting a very different goal for yourself when you're beginning to summarize the article. Step 2. Read the article, summarizing each paragraph. As you read each paragraph, your task is twofold. Number 1, you should ask these 2 questions repeatedly. What or whom is this paragraph about? That's number 1. And 2, what about it? Or what about this person that this paragraph is about? So what is it and what about it? And number 2, write down the answers in 1 or 2 complete sentences. And again, if you have to write a longer summary, maybe you will write down the answers in 3 or 4 sentences. But usually, for a shorter summary, 1 or 2 sentences will do. Let's read and summarize an article. Okay, we'll set a goal of writing 1 paragraph of about 100 to 200 words. This means that we shouldn't use direct quotations because we just don't have the space for that. And we have no other requirements. So we're writing a normal, relatively short summary. And our sample article to summarize will be, do parents know best when it comes to career choice? All right, here's our paragraph 1. Growing up, like most of his peers, Ahmad worshipped his parents, and wonderful, loving parents they were. They provided him with the best education they could buy and lavished love and attention on their only son. As he was grown into an educated, responsible adult, they insisted that he go into the medical profession in spite of his expressed desire of becoming a teacher. Today, Ahmad is a doctor at the NYU hospital and earns a bountiful living. The only problem is that he's not happy. His childhood dream of becoming a teacher did not materialize and became a source of a nagging sense of a lack of fulfillment. There we go. So, what do? We ask these questions. What or whom is this paragraph about? And what about it? Or what about this person? And let's write down the answers in 1 or 2 complete sentences. Let's do it. So what or whom is this paragraph about? This paragraph is about Ahmad, obviously. It's an example. So what about Ahmad? Well, his parents insisted that he enter the medical profession. He's a successful doctor, but he's unhappy and wishes he were a teacher. That's it in a nutshell. Now, let's put this together into 1 or 2 complete sentences. And as we do, we should also change some of the words to make sure we don't sound as if we're just repeating the original. Ahmad's parents steered him into the medical field against his wishes. Now, as a result, he's a successful doctor, but his unfulfilled dream of becoming a teacher haunts him. There we go. You see, we're using a few new words and phrases. We're changing the original language to use some new language to make sure that our summary doesn't sound repetitive. Note how we use the phrase steered into the medical field to replace the phrase insisted that he go into the medical profession. So that's one of the ways in which we use a synonymous phrase. We want to use our own words and shorten the content at the same time. There we go. There's our paragraph 2. A recent Gallup poll revealed that 85% of workers worldwide are unhappy or downright miserable at their jobs. A study published in the International Journal of Advanced Research in 2019 found that parents exert a significant influence on their children's career choices, especially in some cultures and parts of the world. Could there be a correlation? A cursory look at the issue can be revealing. Children tend to regard their parents as gods, capable of everything except error. This misconception eventually wanes, but the process can take years or even decades. But can parents really provide great career advice or direction given their high authority in the eyes of their children? Most parents, studies show, never bother to uncover their children's talents, strengths, and weaknesses. They generally either do not care about or fail to understand the importance of matching the child's inborn potential with a career choice. There we go. There's our paragraph 2. Let's summarize it. What or who is this paragraph about? This paragraph is about what? It is about the widespread job dissatisfaction around the world. 85% of people around the world are dissatisfied. It is also about parents as bad career advisors, more specifically. So what about these concepts? Well, job dissatisfaction rates are appalling. It's 85%, they are appalling. One possible cause is parental pressure. But parents don't make good career advisors because they almost never bother to explore their child's inborn potential. There we go. Let's put this together into one or two complete sentences. Job dissatisfaction rates are appalling, and one possible cause is parental pressure. While children tend to deem their parents ultimate authorities on everything, they should take parental advice about choosing a profession with a grain of salt. Parents often do not bother to evaluate their children's inborn talents, strengths, and weaknesses. There we go. It's more than one or two sentences, but it's okay. Sometimes if it sprawls into 3 sentences, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's do paragraph 3. Furthermore, parents are often motivated by factors other than their child's sense of fulfillment. Psychologists claim that parents are often unconsciously guided by their own self-interest or by a false sense of security. They want the best for the future of their family as a whole, and that is often associated with a high status. In other words, it may be more important for the parents that their child make them a proud member of a community by gaining a high post or a lucrative salary. They may also consider some careers more stable and safe. This notion persists in parents in spite of overwhelming evidence that the stability of a career is highly dependent on the employee's satisfaction with the career choice. Those who feel miserable at the job sooner or later find a way to escape it and end up taking a pay cut in return for higher job satisfaction. What or whom is this paragraph about? This paragraph is about more reasons why parents should not guide their children's careers. Now, what about these reasons? Let's unpack that a little bit. Parents often make bad career counselors because they are driven by selfish yet unconscious motivations. Their desire for status and security backfires when their children change careers and take a pay cut to gain higher job satisfaction. And let's put this together into one or two complete sentences. Parents often act out of selfish yet unconscious motivations. Their desire for status and security backfires when their children change careers and take a pay cut to gain more job satisfaction. Paragraph 4. Despite the sad statistics, not all parental career guidance is bad. Stacy is a highly paid educator who loves her job. Her parents took care to learn as much as possible about her as she was growing up and were able to guide her to an ideal career. She is now a professor of music at a university. She gets to perform and teach her beloved musical instrument, the violin. Contrary to what many may think, Stacy's parents are not musicians, and she did not follow in their footsteps. They are psychologists, and that explains a lot. Stacy is lucky, but not many people can boast parents who understand the importance of exploring the child's inner world or care to uncover the child's potential. Most parents simply don't know. Okay, what or whom is this paragraph about? Now, clearly, this paragraph is mostly about Stacy. Now, what about her? She's an example of when parental career advice works out well. However, most people can't expect to turn out like she did. And let's put this together into one or two complete sentences. Sometimes parental career advice works, and Stacy is a great example. She's an accomplished musician and educator and loves her work life. Unfortunately, most people cannot expect a similar outcome. Now, why can't they expect it? Because most people don't have parents who are psychologists. Paragraph 5. Final paragraph. In a world where parents make such incompetent career advisors, young adults can and should consult with professionals with regards to their future. Career counselors and coaches can help a young person navigate the muddy waters of vocational decision making. By taking into account such considerations as personality type, passion, a gravitation towards a subject, and strengths and weaknesses, among other factors, these professionals can guide a young person towards a career that is likely to be rewarding and fulfilling. Ironically, a good income and job security are likely to follow as well. What or whom is this paragraph about? This paragraph is about an alternative approach to making career choices. Now, what about it? Using the services of career counselors and coaches is a much better way to decide on a career. There is an irony in this too. Let's put this together into one or two complete sentences. Using the services of career counselors and coaches is a much better way to decide on a career. Ironically, this can increase the chance of higher pay and better job security. There we go, a nice compact summary of this paragraph. All right, let's put the paragraph summaries together. All we're doing here is just reading all our summaries from summary 1 to the summary of paragraph 5. And let's see how that works. Ahmad's parents steered him into the medical field against his wishes. As a result, he is a successful doctor, but his unfulfilled dream of becoming a teacher haunts him. Job dissatisfaction rates are appalling, and one possible cause is parental pressure. While children tend to deem their parents ultimate authorities on everything, they should take parental advice about choosing a profession with a grain of salt. Parents often do not bother to evaluate their children's inborn talents, strengths, and weaknesses. Parents often act out of selfish yet unconscious motivations. Their desire for status and security backfires when their children change careers and take a pay cut to gain more job satisfaction. Sometimes parental career advice works, and Stacy is a great example. She's an accomplished musician and educator and loves her work life. Unfortunately, most people cannot expect a similar outcome. Using the services of career counselors and coaches is a much better way to decide on a career. Ironically, this can increase the chances of higher pay and better job security. So there's our entire article in one paragraph. But it's a raw summary, and you can tell that it really needs some smoothing out because it feels kind of disjunct at times. It kind of feels like we're jumping around a little bit. And you know what? The article does that. The article kind of goes, it's more specific at some point, then becomes general. It kind of switches around, but our job as a writer of a summary is to make it flow nicely and smoothly. So now what we do is, in step 4, we organize the raw summary from general to specific. We want to make it flow from general to specific, and let's do it. In order to do that, all we do is we take all of the more general statements and put them in the beginning of the summary, and then we proceed from more general to specific. And let's do it. While children tend to deem their parents ultimate authorities on everything, they should take parental advice about choosing a profession with a grain of salt. Job dissatisfaction rates are appalling, and one possible cause is parental pressure. Parents often do not bother to evaluate their children's inborn talents, strengths, and weaknesses. Parents often act out of selfish yet unconscious motivations. Their desire for status and security backfires when their children change careers and take a pay cut to gain more job satisfaction. Okay, you see how this is general. This is very general. And only now we're getting to Ahmad's example. Ahmad's parents steered him into the medical field against his wishes. As a result, he's a successful doctor, but his unfulfilled dream of becoming a teacher haunts him. At this point, by now, we're done with the first part of the article because the article is twofold. Don't take parental advice, instead take professional advice. But actually, there's another point here. The other point is that sometimes parental advice can work. So there are 3 points, right? Parental advice usually doesn't work. Sometimes it works, but don't count on it. Instead, go to professionals. And that's how we're proceeding here. So we're done with part 1 where parental advice doesn't work, it backfires. But now we're going to the second part. Sometimes parental career advice works. There we go. That's part 2. And we're given an example of that. And Stacy is a great example. There we go. She's an accomplished musician, an educator, and loves her work. Now, finally, we're saying, unfortunately, most people cannot expect a similar outcome. And therefore, point 3, using the services of career counselors and coaches is a much better way to decide on a career. Ironically, this can increase the chances of higher pay and better job security. So now our summary is structured perfectly. We're going from general to specific, and we have identified these 3 distinct points. Step 5, make the final tweaks. So what kinds of tweaks can we make? Now, in most cases, you should include a statement that introduces the author of the article and possibly the article title. Now, the title can be shortened as well. Here's the phrase template you can use to do that. Now, in his article on X, the author, whatever the author's name is, and year of publication, this is APA format, argues that and whatever the main point is. For example, in his article on space travel, Elon Musk argues that and whatever he argues. And that's how you would begin your summary. Now, I'll give you an example of how to use that. Now, if needed, Add the main point as one sentence in the beginning. Now remember that authors of articles don't always include one perfect statement that would summarize the entire article perfectly. In other words, the author may not include a stated thesis statement. You would have to infer it. So it is your job as as a writer of a summary to infer the main point and to state it. So if you can't find one, write one. Make sure sentences transition well from one to the next. At this stage, you just have a sequence of sentences that you splice together in the previous steps. So now you need to make sure that the entire summary reads smoothly and flows really well. Now, this means that you might need to tweak parts of some of the sentences to ensure nice transitions. Finally, proofread. Remove any errors or typos. Make sure that the article summary contains no grammatical errors and no typos, and when you're done, you're done. And that's it. Here's our final edited version of our summary. In his article on parental career advice, Thompson, 2019, argues that career choice is an important decision that is best made with professional rather than parental guidance. You see, we're using our template for the first sentence. In his article on whatever, the author and the year argues that, and this is the main point. The main point is that making career decisions is best made with professional rather than parental guidance. And that summarizes the entire article. See that? While children tend to deem their parents as ultimate authorities on everything, they should take parental advice about choosing a profession with a grain of salt. Parents often do not bother to evaluate their children's inborn talents, strengths, and weaknesses, and their advice is often self-serving, albeit unconsciously. The result is appalling rates of job dissatisfaction. You see how we're using transitions to make it flow. We're saying as a result this, the result is this. Now we're doing an example. Ahmad is a perfect example. He's a well-paid doctor who would rather be a teacher and enjoy his work. That said, that's another transition right there. We're transitioning to the next part of the point, of the main point. When parents do pay attention, they can guide their child well, as Stacy's example shows. She's an accomplished violinist and teacher who could not be happier as a professional. However, that's another transition, you see? However, most children cannot boast parents who are psychologists, and uninformed parents will make mistakes with regards to their children's future. Therefore, it is better for young adults to consult a professional in early adulthood to determine the most fulfilling career course, ironically increasing the chances of higher pay and better job security. There we are. So we've used transitions to smooth it out, and this is a nice, compact, and perfect summary of that article. So there you go.